Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Much like Road America or Watkins Glen in the States, or any one of a number of classic racing circuits across Europe, the original vision for tonight's venue was born from the belief that public roads encircling a small town, they make a spectacular race course. And so, you know, like so many other motorsports enthusiasts, Jean Bonnegaud, the young mayor of Magny-Cours, he shockingly discovered that perhaps a purpose-built facility that could bring visitors to the town, provide employment, and maybe even also offer educational opportunities would be preferable. And so 30 years after that original 0.3 of a mile karting track began a 1.2-mile circuit that served as the launching point for many of France's best Formula One racers, the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours was unveiled in 1989. And with many corners emulating the renowned circuits of the day and facilities more modern than most, it still had a major problem that proved to be its downfall as a Formula One circuit just 17 years later. And that downfall was lack of access. But tonight, thanks to the fine folks at iRacing, getting to Magny-Cours is no longer an issue. And tonight, our GT4 and TCR racers get to experience this Grade 1 circuit for the first time. Welcome to round number 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod. And of course, let's not forget the two Johns. We've got Jonathan Grabowski and John Robertson. We're going to bring you all of the best views of tonight's action. And so, Larry, yeah, it's been a number of years since Formula One was at Magny-Cours. But I think the one thing that always sticks out in my mind was that, you know, almost every Formula One race at this track seemed to be a processional. And I watched the Porsche Cup races over the weekend put on by one of the official iRacing series, and you know, my mind has not been changed in a number of years. First off, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. I say we go back to the kart track. That's right around my speed. I'd be all for that. But I have to, you know, tip my hat to your ability to pronounce the name of the track in full French accent. So I got to give that to you for a guy from Baltimore. That's impressive.
A guy from New York, it's even more impressive.
New York New York to Baltimore to Carolina.
I'm slowly making my way south to South Florida.
You've got all the accents. French is not one of them.
No.
But you've done well. You've done real well.
You.
But yes, I'm really curious. There were a couple of moments in the years of Formula One here where some impressive passes and things, but let's see what tonight's brings. A lot of folks, as we turn our attention now into the sim here at iRacing, this is a relatively new circuit for a lot of our drivers here in this series, and potentially for some of our broadcasters here tonight. but what it means is it's an opportunity for everyone who put in the time this week to practice, that it will pay off, because no one comes in with a whole lot of practice from prior series and prior years. Yeah. This is the week that if you want to do well, we could see someone from mid-pack who maybe in a normal week just kind of rolls on through. If they put the time in, they could be a front runner tonight.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it in just a little bit, because maybe it's time for one of those mid-pack drivers to unseat our trio from Orion Racing and GT4, or perhaps the folks from D2D eRacing in TCR, who've had pretty much their way with it here in the first 3 rounds of the series. But let's do this, Larry, since it's been a long time for either you or me since we have experienced Magny-Cours. Let's turn things over to Kevin Ford, who has had some practice this week, and I think even a new multi-car view to show you everything, all the tips and tricks of Magny-Cours. Take it away, Kevin Ford.
Welcome, everyone, to Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours. Great to have you with us as we are coming to you live from France today, and actually right up the road from Magny-Cours and Nevers. Well, let's get ready for your track guide here around this 2.74-mile road course. It takes 17 turns to get a lap done around here as we cross the stripe. You'll notice our main grandstands to the right, our pit area to the left. Heading down into this very fast entry of turn 1, we're just going to breathe the throttle a little bit, come right back to power. This will lead us down into turn 2, and then right down into turn 3 here as we let that car just travel through the apex here. We'll come right back to throttle, get a nice launch up off of this turn as this brings us out onto the longest straightaway here at Magny-Cours. This is where all the action happens when it comes to slipstream and overtaking. Right down here into turn 5, known as Adelaide. Heavy on the brakes as we get down through the gears. We'll make a late rotation here into the hairpin, come right back to throttle, back up through the gears, and this will bring us out onto the next little short straightaway here. As we come across turn 6, this will lead us into 7 and 8, a blind right-hander, into 7, back to the left for 8, and then ultimately down here into 9, which is a very heavy brake zone. Get some late rotation here. Come right to throttle, set up this fast exit through turn 10. Back to the left through 11. Little short shoot here is going to lead us up to 12 and 13. Blind entries here as we get on the brakes, come back to the right, back to the left through 13, and then ultimately track left here for our entrance into 14, the final hairpin here. Up through the gears. Get a nice run out of there. This will bring us down to the final sector. This fast sweeping left-hander here will lead you into a very heavy braking right-hander. Through 15, and then ultimately through 16, and then back through 17, and across the stripe. There you go. There's your track guide for the beautiful Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours. Thank you for being with us.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Magny-Cours. And Larry, I think, Kevin made it look pretty easy because he was the only car on track and didn't have anybody to pass.
Which is how our drivers are about to qualify, which will be their last chance to see the track uninterrupted before there's a flood of cars in front of them. So I'm interested to watch this because I think we've had these kind of moments of dread before about certain tracks and been pleasantly surprised. I'm hoping to be the same level of surprise here tonight. But if nothing else, it is mixed class racing, and this is the kind of track I think that might bring out a little bit of change to how those interact between our TCRs, GT4s. So I'm going to keep out hope that we've got ourselves a chance for a really good race tonight.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I mean, obviously this is a track that has multiple very tight hairpins. And I think as Kevin was going through the track guide, he was pointing out turn 5 Adelaide which is the sharpest of the hairpins. That most likely going into that complex there is probably going to be the best opportunity for drivers to pass. It is very tight. It's a heavy braking corner, and it's one that drivers mess up commonly and often. So there's definitely an opportunity if you sit there and wait. But talking to a couple of the folks, as you mentioned, with multiple classes running with the GT4s and the TCR cars, we may find another couple of places. And obviously, I think the TCR cars not going to have the straight line speed that the GT4 cars have. So hopefully they'll be able to make it work in some of these short-ish straightaways that we have here. Obviously, coming out of the 180, will lead you onto a fairly good size straight. And coming out of that hairpin is also a pretty decent length straight. So we'll see how things play out. But as you mentioned, we've got our drivers on track right now for their 15-minute qualifying session. And as we always do here in the Sports Car Series, we are giving our drivers 4 flying laps in order to set their fastest lap and set the grid for tonight's race. And as we also see here, the drivers do have the tracks virtually all to themselves, that they don't have to worry about traffic, they don't have to worry about the traffic. Nothing, they can just go and try and put down a flyer. Now, in practice here just a little while ago, we saw that the GT4 cars were down as low as a 145 flat. Actually, Mike Dam turned in a 145.08, and that's actually underneath the real-life track record that was set back in 2021 in an Audi R8 LMS GT4 by Frenchman Anthony Beltoise. And he put down a 145.569. So Dam is about a half second underneath there, and the TCR car's track record a 148 flat, and Eric Violet in practice about a half second off that time. So let's do this. We've got our drivers on track right now. Let's point out some key indicators so that you know how to pick the different drivers and the different classes out. We have 2 different GT4 classes, as well, of course, as our TCR class. We're looking right now at Mike Dam from Orion Racing. He finished second 2 weeks ago when we were at Bathurst in GT4 Pro. And the way you can tell all the GT4 Pro drivers' cars is that they've got red number boards, red mirrors, red windshield banners, red end plates on their wings. The GT4 AM drivers, let's see if we can pick one up here, like Brennan Horan, who I believe Brennan was our winner at Bathurst a couple weeks ago. Brennan in GT4 AM in his D2D eRacing Mercedes AMG GT4. You can pick out the AM category drivers by the green number boards, green mirrors, green windshield banners, and green end plates on the wings. And then the TCR cars, front wheel drive machines here. You can pretty much pick them out pretty easily from a GT4 car. But to make it easier for you, they've got all blue number boards, mirrors, end plates, and windshield banners to boot, as we're looking at Nick Horvath right now. Horvath driving the number 82 machine. And let's see how Nick did. Actually, let's do this, Larry, as we're fairly early on in qualifying here. And Travis Hartley goes to the top of the leaderboard right now.
Robert Hartley, Travis Schwenke is second, not Travis Hartley. Although they're always so fast.
That's the French pronunciation, Larry.
They look like the same. That's the French.
Yes.
Travis Hartley.
Yes, but Hartley finished third at Bathurst, and Travis Schwenke was your winner at Bathurst, with Mike Dam, their Orion Racing teammate, sandwiched right in between them. And then we had Chris Thorman from D2D and Jeff Jacobs representing the SCCA Foundation rounding out your top 5. If we take a look at the point standings now, after 3 rounds, it is Travis Schwenke, currently your points leader, with Dam and Hartley rounding out the top 3. And then Jeff Jacobs and Chris Thorman, but only 2 points separating those 2 drivers at the moment. So pretty darn close, with Steve Daniel just another 2 points back from there. So a real tight running just out of the top 3, only 4 points separating Jacobs, Thorman, and Daniel. So if we take a look now over at GT4 AM, as we mentioned, Brennan Horan was your winner 2 weeks ago at Bathurst. as I knock everything over here, with Chad Osborne from Redline Motorsports finishing second. Brad Husty, who last season had been racing in TCR, he's now driving in GT4 for Midfield Motorsports. He finished third, while Russ Ruddick for Flying Tortoise finished fourth. Tom Jenkins, also for Midfield Motorsports, finished in fifth. And if we take a look at the point standings now, it is Brennan Horn with 82 points, a commanding 17-point advantage over both Chad Osborne and Brad Husty, both of those drivers with 65. And so then we have a tie for fourth position between Russ Ruddick and John Casey, both of those drivers at 59 points. I'm sure John Casey awfully happy to be up in the top 5 or top 4 as it may be right now. Then we've got Mayforce Racing, Steve May, and Bobby Childs a little bit further back from there. So let's take a look at TCR. If I didn't dump all of my papers all over the floor. And taking the win at Bathurst was D2D eRacing's Brendan Whitworth, with Eric Violet finishing second. And then that was a little bit of a surprise, I think, Larry, for both of us. In qualifying, Whitworth was not the faster of the two teammates, but he jumped out to a pretty quick lead and never let it go at Bathurst. Nick Horvath from Lead Paw Racing finishing in third. Alex Brown and Marlon Jones rounding out the top 5. And so if we take a look at the point standings now after 3 rounds, the two D2D eRacing teammates, they are awfully close, only 4 points separating them. 112 to Violet, 108 to Whitworth. And then we've got, Larry, I don't know if this has ever happened in the sports car series, 3 Canadians in a row. We've got Alex Brown from Team Collusion with 95 points. Then with 88, it's Lead Paw Racing's Nick Horvath, and then Scott Brooks with 77 points.
And they're all being polite and letting each other go first. There will be no pushing and shoving amongst those two.
So we may never actually see that fight for third in the championship, but they'll just toss maple syrup at one another. All right.
If they fight, it'll just be like a big wrestling match on the ice. Oh wait, we had a hockey match or we had a race? Sorry.
It's a hockey match. All right.
See, I'm going to get all kinds of grief now. People say, you don't even know that hockey's a game, not a match. But that's what I get for being who I am.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, I spent this past Saturday at the Stadium Series game in Raleigh, and I was surrounded by Carolinians who didn't know anything about hockey either. So, no offense to you Canes fans, every last one of you. But let's take a look here, Larry, as we're on board right now. We're watching Robert Hartley, driver to the number 3 Orion BMW M4 GT4, trying to improve upon the 145.22 that he just put in the books. He's a full 2/10 off of Mike Dam's provisional pole time, but I guess we're not going to get a better lap than that from Robert Hartley, because he just completed his 4th and final flying lap. Jeff Jacobs currently 3rd fastest with a 146.11, almost a full second off of Dam's times. Then Thorman and Schwenke rounding out the top 5 in pro. If we take a look at GT4 AM, it's Eduardo Lorente in the number 91 machine. Lorente with a 145.76. He's on his last flying lap right now, looking to improve upon that. He's got about a 900th of a second advantage over Brennan Horan in his Mercedes. Brad Husty, who has already completed it, and Horan has already completed his 4 flying laps, so this is just practice for him. Brad Husty has completed his 4th flying lap, and he put in a 145.85 as well. And you can see there, as we've got it on the board, actually, an 851 for Horan versus an 854 for Husty, so 3 thousandths of a second separating Brennan Horn and Brad Husty. And if we take a look at TCR, and this might be a surprise to some, Larry, but Nick Horvath in his Honda Civic Type R, Horvath, after completing 4 flying laps for the moment, he is your provisional pole sitter. The time in the books, a 149.18. Eric Violet, who still has 2 more chances to best Horvath, He's got a 1:49.40 at the moment, so almost 0.2 of a second off of Horvath's times.
Yeah, we had said at the introduction that if somebody were able to put the time in this week on a track that for a lot of folks, this is probably their first race, or it could be one of their first races here. If you put the time in, it could benefit. So we're talking about Nick Horvath, who's shown some bits of speed here over the first couple rounds, but not able to get over that hump. He's had just the one podium so far. Maybe tonight's another shot at a podium. But have you taken a look at the standings in the Pro class, GT4 Pro? Jeff Jacobs has leapfrog past Robert Hartley to be second on the grid for this race. There's a guy, again, who may have put in the time this week and picked up that speed quickly, got himself up there. We have not seen Jeff at this kind of a starting position, so this could be one of those wild cards. It's great for Jeff, and it shows that some practice really does pay off.
Indeed, Larry. All right, so look at this. We've got a driver who has completed his 4 flying laps. He is driver of the number 31 DP Racing Honda Civic Type R. And this is pretty neat. He is still circulating on course, but he's sitting in the green room at the same time, Larry. He can be 2 places at once. I guess you can do that in France. Let's talk to David Payne.
David Payne, you're on the air. It sounds like you're driving and talking at the same time. Are you good?
Oh, yeah. Just, finishing the in lap, so.
All right. Sounds good. So you've got your qualifying all set. How comfortable are you with this Magny-Cours circuit? Is this maybe the first races for you since it's been released?
This will be the first race since it's been released for me, and I'm not uncomfortable with it. I wouldn't call myself comfortable though. It's a lot of chicanes, a lot of tight corners, and some interesting lines out there to have to take.
And some of those chicanes look like they're a bit on the bouncy side if you get them wrong. Have you found that they can be damaging at times?
Yes. Yeah, there was a few in practice where if you take them just a little too deep, or cut it just a little too much, and you bounce and then you slide and then you're in a wall. So yeah, that's definitely going to be something to look out for.
Yeah, so tonight could be a bit of a survival as well. I can imagine the first time through as a field through some of those chicanes is going to be a little bit interesting.
Yes.
Have you had a chance to do a little bit of practicing, mixing classes, and kind of seeing where the GT4 is going to be compared to where you guys are going to end up?
Yeah, a little bit. The times are pretty close. Lap times are pretty close here. But I have noticed that in a few places, passing and overtaking for the GT4s might get a little interesting, especially I think turn 1. Just because it is a very quick corner there. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So I think this is your first season here in the Sportscar series. 3 rounds in, 4th round tonight. What's your impression so far?
Loving it. This is my first time really getting behind a TCR car as well, in general, and it's been a learning experience. I'm used to rear-wheel drive, a little almost easier in that respect, whereas the TCR is a little more technical. But overall, the series has been fantastic. It's definitely a learning season for me, though.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to learn, and tonight everybody gets to learn because it's a fresh track for pretty much everyone. So good luck to you. You got about 10 seconds here to get back into the grid. Wish you luck, and maybe with any luck, we'll get a chance to talk to you in a couple hours.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. David Payne, driver of the number 31 DP Racing Honda Civic Type R. And David qualified 4th tonight in TCR. And Larry, just as we finished up with him, we've got cars heading to the grid now. And we'll have that grid up here in a second. Here, let's take a look and run down the starting order. Your overall pole sitter tonight with a time of 1:45.019. Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 Orion Racing BMW M4 GT4. Jeff Jacobs, and you said it, Larry, and I don't know if this is a surprise, but what a Hail Mary, what a haymaker Jeff Jacobs threw down on his last lap.
I've seen him do it in the SCCA solo world, where Jeff shows up to a race and all says, whoa, it's Jeff, he's back. It's the old Jeff. So tonight, it's the old Jeff. He's here to play. This is awesome.
There you go. So Jeff Jacobs, driver of the SCCA Foundation StreetSurvival.org Mercedes AMG GT4. Then we've got Robert Hartley from Orion Racing. He's going to start 3rd tonight in his BMW. Chris Thorman will start on the outside of row number 2 in his Aston Martin. Then we've got Travis Schwenke. He is going to start 5th tonight with Eduardo Eduardo Lorente, he is your GT4 AM pole sitter. He's going to start 6th. Then we've got Brendan Horan and Brad Husty making up row 4. Then Chuck Labano and Steve Daniel, they'll make up row number 5, starting 9th and 10th. David Payton and Chad Osborne will start 11th and 12th.
But I don't have them on the screen.
All right, well, tell you what, I'll bring them up here. I don't know why our grid is no longer on the screen here, but let's take a look as we had, and then we've got Tom Jenkins and John Casey. They're starting 13th and 14th tonight. Russ Ruddick and Robert Brist will start 15th and 16th. And then we've got the TCR field, and that is, as we mentioned, it's Nick Horvath with Eric Violette. Your front row, then Brandon Whitworth and David Payne, and then John Sterling will start 5th tonight in this 5-car TCR field.
Good save. All right, so I think tonight's going to be interesting. Again, kind of a new track for a lot of folks, which means typically in public races, you'd have a chance to really figure out the strategies of how to take turn 1 and where things get sorted out. For these guys tonight, this might be their first chance. I'm sure they've done a little bit of this maybe in practice, but it's go time. It's time to really sort things out. And for the Orion team to really be split up a little bit tonight is kind of unusual. As we've seen this year, they've been dominant so far in the season. Dam, Hartley, Schwenke are going to make up the entire left side of the row here with Dam, Hartley behind him, Schwenke behind him, and then you got Thorman and Jacobs that'll make up the right side. So could be interesting start here with the teammates all broken up.
All right, and so as we always do here in the Sports Car Series, we do have a live starter that will be on the start stand to give the green flag, and that starter will throw the green flag anytime what we call the start zone, anytime after the drivers come out of the final chicane, turn 16 and 17 towards the front straight. They can throw it as early or as late as they want. Drivers are not allowed to pass until they get to the start-finish line. However, also, as we always do here in the Sports Car Series, it is a split start. And the TCR drivers will start about 15 to 20 seconds back from the GT3 field or GT4 field, so there'll be plenty of time for those GT4 drivers to get around the big sweeping turn 3 Estoril and start to make their run down to that hairpin at Adelaide before the TCR cars get their green flag here tonight.
Well, I'll be interested as we were just kind of chatting here off to the side of Jeff Jacobs up here in the front row. We know he traditionally is a very wide car. In a track like this, near the front of the field, he's at least got an opportunity to make some noise here and hold his ground. So this could be a lot of fun to watch.
All right, and we've got the drivers now. They're coming into Larry, coming in towards the sweeper that we have here over at I think at 14. And they'll be coming up to another hairpin over at turn 15, where there is really some of the only elevation change that we have on this track. And here we go. They're coming into that final chicane right now in the 16 and 17 onto the front straight, waiting for the green flag. And there it is. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway here from Magny-Cours as Jeff Jacobs, he's got the advantage. Interesting that Jacobs was driver's right, Larry, as of course the first turn here at Magny-Cours is a left-hand turn, but that Mercedes manages to take the point and move Mike Dam in the second.
I think it was Chad Osborne, perhaps, it slid off in the
that was I think it was the 68 machine, and that's yes, Jacobs. Our pole sitter is off. He's got problems early on here as we get ready for our TCR start, and we'll see exactly what happened there. He might have gotten a slowdown penalty, Larry, because there are lots of ways to get him here, especially at the different chicanes. But we are underway now in TCR. Jumping out to an early lead is Eric Violet, and wow, what acceleration from that Civic Type R, as right behind him Nick Horvath and Brendan Whitworth are side by side. Horvath has the position though, and now you can see that second D2D car of Whitworth. He's dropping back David Payne, who we were just talking about. He's got inside position now, going down into turn 7 and setting up here for the hairpin as we jump back to GT4 action. And your new leader, Chris Thorman.
D action right now is Thorman and Horan right now are leading 1-2. ahead of the two Orions, Schwenke and Dam, because Hartley has fallen all the way back into the 10th spot right now in his absolutely crazy first lap so far, as we had seen Jeff Jacobs, who had taken the lead into one. Something happened we didn't quite catch. Looks like he was serving a bit of an off track. We saw him in the grass. He's now all the way back. Jacobs in 12th. So Hartley down to 10th, which means Thorman and Brent Horn right now, two teammates up there. Not the teammates we normally see. This is two other teammates saying tonight this might be a D2D break.
That's right, Larry. And not only that, Thorman, our leader in Pro, Horn, your GT4 AM leader. Horn having made up 5 positions on the start, having started 7th. And Thorman, who started in 4th position, of course, sitting in the lead. Hopefully we've got queued up and we can see exactly what happened to our pole sitter.
I think we've got that replay queued up. Let's take a look as the field comes down into the Estoril corner, and Jacobs just, he's in it already there. He's doing well, but he loses the back end mid-corner. Luckily, I think that was Mike Dam, I think, checked up just enough to catch him. But man, for Jeff Jacobs, able to recover, get going again, no contact. Great job by everybody to get around him, but the damage is done. He's all the way back. And like I said, 11th spot overall, working his way through the field. Second, as you can see on the ticker board there, 2nd, 5th, and 6th, all coming from the AM category. But still for Jacobs, that's kind of what could have been here, kind of the scene for him tonight.
Yeah, and perhaps adding insult to injury, just got word that Tom Jenkins, driver of the number 68 machine, who I think was part of that other incident, now he's in the pits trying to get repairs done, but he's also been assessed a drive-through penalty. Not an inauspicious start for Tom Jenkins here this evening as we're on board, and we'll see exactly what happened to him. Yeah,
just no brakes. Wow.
That's exactly what it looked like as they came down to that hairpin.
It might have been Dale Maxwell, might have been the other car involved there with Jenkins. I'm sure nothing deliberate. Unfortunately, both drivers look like they're in the pits for some repairs as we're back into action. That's Brad Rusty there leading that little pack in his Aston Martin. Just ahead of the bottom. Look at him back there. Look at Jeff Jacobs now, side by side, as we always say it, with Steve Daniel. Those two always come together at some point.
Always. That he's got Daniel there. He's got David Payton there as well. And of course, that's a battle for position. That is the battle for 6th and for 5th, as he's sitting at the tail end of that pack. And Hartley not that far up. Hartley, as you mentioned, with that big drop, he's sitting back in 8th position as well.
Curves, look at the bouncing of these TCRs across that chicane. Of course, is the 89 Eric Violet. Just behind him, Nick Horvath. Honda v Honda here. Could be a good little race between them. I think, as one of these guys had mentioned this week, very difficult for TCR to make a pass at Magny-Cours. So we know that they're going to be required to make a pit stop at some point. That could be a big piece of tonight's strategy for all these drivers.
Yeah, and for TCR drivers, Larry, I was talking to Eric Violet earlier in the day, and he thinks that there's a pretty big pit window. Likely the drivers aren't going to be taking any tires, but he looks at the pit window as it being anywhere between 15 minutes into the race and 45 minutes in. So big decisions there. I would expect to see the TCR drivers probably try to push that as far as they can. And I know the D2D folks certainly are going to be looking, if they have the opportunity, to especially since they missed out on pole and another incident there. And look at that. That's right. And Steve Daniel, I believe, and Jeff Jacobs again involved as well, as they were just coming out of turn 2. Going into Estoril over at turn 3, as all 3 cars went around.
It's a rough start here. Just 4 laps in, and Jeff Jacobs already spun twice. Several accidents have gone through. as this is the battle of 95 Russ Ruddock and Chad Osborne in the 24, both in a couple of BMWs here.
Oh, and it looks like we're just at the tail end of that shot, saw Jeff Jacobs. I'm trying to determine whether or not he has some damage to the car. It looked like the rear end of that Mercedes was doing some pretty wonky things, but yeah, we'll see here. Actually, it looks like he might be back up to speed. All right, let's take a look, Larry. I think we've got queued up exactly what happened to that trio. You can see him here coming down into turn 1.
Yep, so it looks like Torrente just goes a little bit wide and unfortunately catches one of the D2D cars.
And then catches Daniel, and I'm not sure what happened.
Maybe Jeff just swerved to avoid and maybe yeah. As well.
All right, so we're back to live action here as we're on board with Travis Schwenke now running in second. He started 5th on the evening, and he is second in pro, and you can see sitting right back behind our 2 leaders from D2D. We've got the D2D Pro drivers running the Aston Martin Vantage, and then the AM category drivers, I believe, are all running the Mercedes AMGs here. But they've got the two BMW M4 GT4s of Schwenke and Mike Dam as they come down into that hairpin into Adelaide, catching up pretty quickly here.
So just looking at the pace that they're running. So Thorman and Horn out front. 45.8, 45.7 last time by. That was their quickest lap of the race. Mike Dam has, as he's pulled closer to this pack, all the way down to a 45.1. Remember, he qualified on pole at a 45.0. So there is potentially speed out there as these guys start to shed a little bit of fuel and the tires continue to come in. We'll keep our eyes on that. But I'm wondering if perhaps for Mike Dam, if he's got a little bit of room in his pace to catch up. He's the 4th of the train. He's a couple tenths back from Schwenke, but we think he's probably the fastest car in this group. I'm not sure he could do much with that speed, given how difficult it is to pass around here, which makes me wonder now, do these teams decide to pit at coordinated times to try and help themselves? So perhaps we might see a D2D pit at one point and the Orion cars at another. But we'll have to see if these guys, I'm sure they're on comms with each other and going through that. They've got their strategists working hard. I'm sure Bobby's working hard for the D2D boys.
Since he's not racing tonight, and Stubby, you mentioned that for us in the chat. What else does he have to do, Larry? Come on. Exactly. But yeah, I would think, Larry, that it would probably make good sense for them to pit in pairs. And I'm sure that the Orion guys are probably just it's basically a game of chicken. They want the D2D drivers to pit first so that they have something to look after, and vice versa. Yeah. So we'll have to see who's going to blink first as we jump over to this battle for the lead in TCR with Eric Violet and Nick Horvath.
It could be very much the same here, where it could be a game of chicken to see who pits first between Horvath and Violet, as they've now pulled out about 4 seconds on Brandon Whitworth back in 3rd. So for these guys, if it is difficult to pass, to see if it comes down to a pit. The other thing that may come into play is these course cuts, as they're just attacking these chicanes. All it takes is to go just an inch too tight to it, and now you've got to serve a slowdown. Now, we all know there's tricks to serving slowdowns. You get usually 20 or 30 seconds to serve that. My personal method of choice is to find the slowest corner within that 30 seconds and just park it on your way into the apex. You don't have to serve it right away in a straightaway, but you can certainly take your time through that next corner as long as you serve it.
And there are so many places here around this track, Larry, to do that and really complicate things for the guy behind you. So we'll definitely see how that plays out. And you saw those huge curbs that the TCR, that both the TCR drivers and also the GT4 drivers, and there's that elevation change at Magny-Cours that we were talking about, all about 3 feet. One of them, and then the other one is coming out of the final corner, coming out of turn 15. But we'll have to see how these drivers continue to deal with the curbing here, and it is especially through this section right here as well, Larry. Not all that difficult, especially I think in the TCR cars, if you push a little wide, if you have a little bit of understeer, to dip your wheels all the way off and off the track surface, which could bring you a slowdown penalty.
Well, right now it looks like Eric Violet's hitting the marks pretty well. Every apex he's nailing it pretty good, but Horvath not going anywhere, just hanging around in that good draft distance of about 1 second without being up against the bumper where you lose any kind of arrow and ruin those very critical front tires. So Horvath playing the bit of game of chess here behind Violet here now, about 10 minutes into our 60. So we'll see if he decides to push it, because that's the other thing that happens in a race like this is either everybody stays in line, waits for their pit stop, plays nice and gentlemanly, or someone throws out the full wild card, play and just starts making dive bombs.
The pressure game.
Yep, and that works great if you're in a pack of 3 or 4 or 5, because it creates a wild card in the mix, where a pack of 2 often just becomes defend a line, hold the line. But we'll see how really what's going to happen is these cars intermix. Right now, these two we're watching, the TCRs, are running a high, mid to high 149s. They just turned their fastest lap of the race at 49.2 and 49.3. That's about 4 seconds slower than the front of the GT4s, Norman and Horan, running at the 45.7. So 4 seconds a lap. They were given a head start. They're probably still going to be another, let's say, maybe 6 laps before we interact.
As we jump back to the lead here with Chris Thorman, your leader. Chris, having started 4th tonight, he took an advantage there as we saw our pole sitter on lap 1 experience issues. Travis Schwenke has to go and avoid Brennan Horn, and I'm wondering if Horn maybe got a slowdown. Yeah.
Well, that little bit of slide there wide, that's all it takes. And he got all the way out to the gravel. Thought maybe he was going to block and be able to hold his line, but Schwenke, seeing the opportunity, jumps all over it. Now we've got alternating teams here between DTD and Orion as opposed to the 2x2s. So does this shake things up? What this does is it leaves both the lead and the 3rd place susceptible. So Horan right now would be wise to put as much pressure in the back of Schwenke as he can generate to try and hold that spot and keep Mike Dam at bay in 4th.
All right, this is a battle we were watching early on. Look at that line through Adelaide there. That is Russ Ruddick. It's Jeff Jacobs trying to make his way back through, but Chad Osborne in the number 24 machine, Larry, and what a way to get through that corner. Oh my God.
I thought for a moment there that the 2 BMWs were going to split. It was going to be a Mercedes right up the middle. It didn't entirely happen, but Jeff Jacobs eventually follows Ruddick, gets to the next corner, and makes his way on by, and he'll proceed on through the field. But that got pretty hairy there for a moment with the 2 BMWs going side by side and Jacobs making it 3-way. That was pretty wild. But that battle's not done. Those guys just continue going.
But the rotation that Osborne was able to get on that number 24 machine, oh my gosh. All right, here is we're now watching Brad Husty in the 137 machine, and he's got Labano and Hartley right behind him. So we've got the Aston Martin, the Mercedes, and the BMW all in line. And this is a great opportunity to see maybe where some of the strengths and weaknesses of the different chassis are here. Larry, we know that the Aston's definitely got some legs on it as one of the front-wheel drive machines, and he steps out just a little bit. But we'll see what happens when they get on the brakes here at the hairpin.
Yeah, that may be helping him a little bit to hold the 2 at bay behind him, between Labano and Hartley. These guys aren't exactly slow. They're all running right around the 46.0 mark. You ever take a little bit of ebb and flow of the paces as they create a bit of an accordion, but running around that, they're only maybe a couple of tenths slower a lap than what Foreman, Schwenke, Horn, and Dam are doing out in the front. So this group holding their own, as this is the next pack, 5, 6, and 7 overall, with Thorman, Schwenke, Horn, and Dam out in front. So this group, that front group slows down at all. They start battling. We can end up with a 7-way train before we know it. Well, I'm curious if the pit window truly is in TCR from anywhere from 15 to 45. We are now in that window. So let's keep our eyes on the TCRs and to see if any of them decide to come in. Looks like we've got a little bit of a stretch in the battle here between Horvath and Violet, now up to 1.3 second lead for Eric Violet. So Horvath kind of catching up a little bit, but doesn't want to lose too much. He'd like to be able to draft, and maybe if he can use that draft to save some fuel, he can make a jump in the fuel stops.
Now, one thing I've noticed in watching these two, Larry, through the many different hairpins, is that Violet is taking a much later entry, really straightening out the exit, where you see where Horvath ends up loading up the front tires quite a bit more. I don't know how that's going to affect him later on in the race, but I suspect through some of those slower corners, he's definitely affecting the equipment quite a bit more than Violet is. And Violet also with that, and we'll notice it here. Well, not so much of a difference here, but usually at least going through Adelaide, we see how he straightens it out into that tiny little chicane afterwards and little bend afterwards, and Violet usually ends up opening up a little bit of extra ground here, and we'll see here as they come onto the front straight, as it looks like Horvath maybe hit that inside curbing there at the turn 17 a little bit more square. Didn't get a good exit out of there.
You can see the lap times popped up there. Violet a 1:49.1, Horvath a 1:50.0. Horvath definitely lost ground on that lap while we were watching him, and there you go. Thanks, guys. Putting the graphic up there, about 9/10 lower on that lap alone. Horvath really has to be careful now not to lose sight of Eric Violet. I think some of it might be the lines you're talking about, Greg, is Eric's being very smooth and very gentle on his tires, doing some diamonding off, as you will, to where you get into it, you get everything rotated, you power out for the next long straightaway. And at this kind of a track, as they're right now going to the Adelaide hairpin, that's exactly what you need. Is you kind of need to be diamonding it off. If you try to load up that increase your mid-corner speed, you end up sacrificing away some of your high speed at the end of the next straightaway, plus ruin your front tires, and that's 80% of the work on a front drive car.
Yeah, exactly. All right, as we look in once again with our leaders, it's Chris Thorman, Travis Schwenke, your top two now, with Brennan Horn, our GT4 AM leader, sandwiched in between Schwenke and Mike Dam. But one heck of a breakaway from the rest of the field is Husty now is just about 6 seconds. 5.5, 6 seconds back from this pack here, and Husty has been under attack now for the last 5 laps or so, as he's got Labano and Hartley still sitting right off behind him, and I'm maybe a little surprised, Larry, that we haven't seen Hartley. Well, look, I guess we're still just now halfway through the season, round 4 of 8. And better to finish with a decent result than throwing away points by maybe getting overly aggressive at a track that doesn't warrant it.
Yeah, for sure. Tonight is, if you're leading a pack, you don't want to be aggressive. If you're third in the pack, you might want to try. And that's where Hartley is now. He's showing awful lot of patience in this little threesome here that he's in with Labano and Husty out in front of him. But at this point, he might be thinking his opportunity for a podium in the overall of this race may be quickly fading if he isn't able to maybe make a pass in the pits and get by these guys later. But maybe it's, like I mentioned earlier, Husty and Labano. Was there a bit of a course cut for Mr. Hartley?
Well, I mean, obviously he lost a lot of speed with the fishtail there, Larry. I'm not 100% sure, but if he's going to be aggressive, this might be the time to do it after that small move.
This will be interesting, because now we really want to curious what the pace truly is of an uncorked Orion driver here, to see, are these guys 45-0 by themselves, with some fuel on board, because right now he's going to need it to catch back up to the two guys in front of him. I thought for a moment perhaps he was trying to save some fuel and get by him in the pits, but well, he can't anymore. He needs to use it up.
See there, he takes a very, very late entry into Adelaide as well, much later than some of his competitors there, straightens it up, and he does appear to be making up some ground. He may find himself right on the back of these two, Larry, before the lap even completes, and that might be a good indication of where his speed lies.
You can see already he's picking up that gap as the interactions have started between GT4s and TCRs. As Jeff Jacobs now is behind Chad Osborne again.
And that was actually when
ahead of him.
Yeah, he's just ahead of Oh, look at this, going wide, Larry.
Oh.
Oh, and is there contact? But running wide, that was Chris Thorman coming out of Lucé, the final hairpin, turn 15, just before you come back out onto the front straight. And he is going to find himself now back in third as he recovers. But now we find ourselves with Travis Schwenke as our new leader and Brendan Horn up in the second.
Yeah, awful the things happening there for our leader, Chris Thorman. He's able to recover, it looks like. I don't see much damage on there, but that certainly mixes things up, and that was all just trying to make passes there around some of the TCR traffic. And Mike Dam also looked like he had a check up in that little bit of a mixture there. As Brendan Horn flashing the lights there at Schwenke in front of him.
Yeah, that'll work.
Just reminding, hey, Travis, it's me and you, let's go. But yeah, Mike Dam also checked up, so now he's separated a little bit from Thorman. Thorman going to try and stick here and get back up under the back of Brendan Horn. But so yeah, that's what we've seen now. We've seen an off in turn one, lap one, when it was Jeff Jacobs that had gone off. We had seen a little bit of off there a little bit later from Brendan Horn. Now we've seen off for Chris Thorman. So we're seeing this sort of, the one that makes the mistake is letting the rest of the folks get the spots back. And the one who doesn't make the mistakes tonight likely is going to be the one that can win this race.
Well, Larry, as our GT4 leaders are coming up now on John Sterling in the number 87 Honda Civic Type R. There you go. I was going to say, let's see if they can find a place to get by.
Brendan Horn's going to try and stick his nose underneath. Is there anything here for him coming to the next corner?
Yeah, he's a little bit too far back, I think, Larry. And oh, wow, as we see Sterling go wide through the through turn 15 there to let the rest of that pack through, but it's not before Thorman and Dam now have fallen almost 10 car lengths back from our leaders.
Yeah, well, I tell you, look at this. Brendan Horn really putting the pressure on Travis Schwenke right now. You'd seen him get a great run through the Lycée hairpin there at the end. Now as he goes to turn 3 at Estoril, he's right up underneath the back of Schwenke. He wants to make the move now. I think he's sensing an opportunity. He's in a bit of a groove. There's no pressure from behind. But he's not quite able to get the exit that Schwenke did out of Estoril all the way down this back straight into the Adelaide hairpin. And now we are again right back in line, unless he can get a great run out of the hairpin. We're just going to be seeing a little bit more of the back of the Orion 16.
Yeah, both get through there very quickly. They both get the power down really well, Larry. But certainly no advantage there for either one, for Schwenke or Horn.
Horn with a nice, good late apex here around the 180. But not able to really use much of it, but you can see he's doing a really good job of just pressuring Schwenke. And maybe that's what's happening, is the leader ends up falling to some level of pressure. We'll see if Schwenke falls to the same, as this is his first crack at leading this race. Obviously, he led a few races already this year, but his first time leading here at Magny-Cours. As Mike Dam gets up underneath Chris Thorman.
And there you go, as we now have Mike Dam moving into third position. And Thorman now, who just 2 laps ago had been your leader, now finds himself back in fourth.
Oh, yeah, rough turn of events here for Chris Thorman after leading a good portion of the early part of this race. Like you say, now back behind Mike Dam. A couple of little unforced errors cost him big as he's fading back. What he needs to do is to stick with Dam and see if they can pull back up with Horn and Schwenke. Dam about 7 or 8 tenths back. Maybe almost a full, it looks like about 1.6 back from Horn and Schwenke out in front of him. So we'll have to see how quickly he closes. But Thorman could do himself some good on these long straightaways and use that draft to stick with him.
All right, let's take a look here, Larry. I think we've got that overtake right now, and we'll watch here as Dam comes around Chris Thorman, comes down to the inside, going into Adelaide.
What a run for
Yeah,
Dam to get up in there and to be able to make that pass. Great job for Dam is sensing the car in front of him didn't get the same run and just stuffed his note in there before that. Very safely, very clean pass. Just got it out there before there was under brakes.
Yeah, I think there was some good heads-up driving there by Thorman, who kind of knew that the battle was lost there, did not try to come down to the apex, and just gave Dam the room he needed to get through the corner.
Well, Thorman so far is getting back on pace, shook off whatever it was, sticking with Dam moving pretty quickly right now to try and catch up to Brennan and Schwenke. Schwenke doing a pretty good job, though, holding Brennan Horn back. As I said, Brennan was up underneath his trunk lid for a good part of a lap. That seems to have shaken off a little bit, and now Schwenke with over a 1 second lead on Brennan Horn, as we've got to be getting close to our pit window for these GT4s.
Yeah, I would suspect, Larry, is we thought that the pit window for the GT4 cars would probably be somewhere starting, well, probably around lap 20 or thereabouts. So maybe a little while longer, but we were also thinking, maybe, they could go probably a max of 35 or 36 minutes. So we're probably getting pretty darn close at this point. We may see the great exodus to the pit lane at the top of the hour here. Wouldn't that be perfect timing?
Or we could maybe go to break, come on back, and be here just in time.
Let's do that. I think that's a great idea. We'll take an early break as we see. Oh, look at this! As we have Nick Horvath, who's running second in TCR, spins the car out. We had just been watching the amount of ground that Eric Violet had opened up on Horvath, and now sneaking underneath Horvath, who's just having trouble getting things back underway.
He's got some pretty big damage to the front wheel on his Honda. The left front is just not pointing the same as the right, and that is unfortunate.
Yeah, you can see there's a lot of damage in the front there.
As the leader
Whitworth now goes to second. And so let's take a look and see exactly what happened there as he gets a whole bunch of curb, Larry. And then...
and then he collects.
Yeah. And that was that Husty, I think, Brad Husty in the 137. As they met nose to nose, and it looks like as the 82 machine tries to get back to the pit lane, and it's a definitely a tough run there.
I don't know that was Husty. I'm trying to catch who that was. I'm wondering if that might have been Wrist, possibly. We'll have to check on that, but.
Yeah, we'll have to get another angle on that. But
pretty good up there with.
Well, no, that's Brist's car right there. I'm pretty sure it was the Husty Aston, based on the color scheme.
Perhaps Tom Jenkins. He's now in the pits.
Oh, no, there you go.
Yep.
Tom Jenkins it is, number 68, who's this is his second time into the pit lane after a lap one incident.
That's what we get for even announcing we might go to a commercial break. They had to give us some action right on top of that.
There we go. All right, so now we've got Jenkins and we've got Horvath on the pit lane getting repairs. And Larry, let's do this before the rest of the field joins them on the pit lane. Let's quickly take a break, thank some of our sponsors, and then when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag. You're watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series live from Magny-Cours, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts, support from experts that love sim racing, trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here. with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
All right, and we are back here at Magny-Cours for the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performatech Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and we're counting down the minutes here, Larry, until everybody starts breaking for the pit lane. We've already had a couple drivers head in, Chad Osborne, Steve Daniel as well, just recently pitted, but we're watching now this battle for, the battle for second overall.
Yeah. I was going to say, Stubby's favorite driver right now is struggling a little bit. Brennan Horan, you saw him struggle to get around the TCR car, which he hasn't yet, and there even through the chicane, a bit of struggle also popping those curves. Chris Thorman, former leader, now into the pits for his stop, as Brad Husty also in from the 7th spot.
Oh, and here we go. As you can see now, Mike Dam, he is just pushing Brennan Horan all over the place as they were trying to get around Brandon Whitworth's D2D eRacing TCR.
Oh, and a braking contest.
Now coming down into the hairpin as Horan has inside position coming into Adelaide, and as they come out, he's able to cover Mike Dam, but Dam has a good run. The question is just the run out of there is so short before they get to that chicane, Larry. It's, you know, that turn 6 and 7 chicane just comes up on you so quickly.
Brennan had not done himself any favors there, struggling to get around actually his teammate in the TCR car, and Brandon Whitworth. He just struggled, and he constantly was offline. He was being almost too polite with it, and unfortunately that was costing him. Like Dan was saying, let's go, let's go, let's go, just make the move already. The TCR's out of the way, and the longer it went on, the worse it was for Brennan. So he's now finding himself 2.5 seconds behind Travis Schwenke, your leader, and he's got a very nervous and very anxious Mike Dam behind him, wanting to get on by. So Brennan better just sort of buckle down and hit his marks, because he's got a very Canadian angry shark behind him, ready to get on by.
That's indeed. All right, so it looks like Dale Maxwell has now taken to the pits. He pitted in from
look at this.
third
in. Well, just as we went away from that, Brennan Horn again missing at apex, coming out of a hairpin. He's still holding on to it, but he continues to do that. Mike Dam's going to pounce. It's going to happen.
And you know, Larry, and we were talking about this at the break, you know, I think one of the questions is whether or not Brennan Horn, in trying to keep his car up at the very front of the pack, has possibly run tires off. And we'll see here. You know, we know that he is that typically he flirts with the boundaries of the track and the track limits here when he races both in the sports car series and some of the other Ricmotech series. But I'm starting to wonder if maybe the combination of his driving style and the pace that he was keeping early on in this race might be a limiting factor when determining his final finishing position here.
There could be something to that, but some of this to me looks like a little bit of overdriving. Like he's a little bit nervous. He knows it's just a one-on-one battle with Mike Dam. Mike being one of the you know, and at this point for Brennan Horn, he is leading the AM class. He doesn't need this position, but obviously he wants to fight for everything and, you know, show that he's got the pace. Right now, though, I think he's just missing apexes, which to me looks less about the car and more about the driver.
Well, as you say, Larry, that Brennan Horn, you know, based on where he is, doesn't have to worry about positioning. In one of the last shots that we saw, I saw two drivers. One of them is Chuck Labano, who is in the number 34 Mercedes, and he is starting to close things down. That last time by, he was almost 2 full seconds faster, as Mike Dam and Robert Hartley are now pitting in. So Mike Dam, for the time being, is giving up that fight with Brennan Horn with the thought that he might be able to take advantage of it on the pit cycles here.
It's a very smart move. If he knows that he's faster and he's watching Brennan Horn make mistake after mistake, but he can't get by, all it's doing. You just mentioned 2 seconds slower for Brennan and for Mike in the last lap compared to Lobano, who is 6 seconds behind them, but he was 2 seconds faster in that exchange. So for Dam, he's in, he's out, he's back underway. He's hoping to not see the back of Brennan Horn's Mercedes when Brennan finishes his pit stop. So he's going to go out and try and lay down some real fast out laps at this point. Jeff Jacobs, who led this race for about 2 corners, has now got himself in the pits for his stop. Hartley's made his way, as had Husty Thorman. Dams was the quickest pit stop so far, under 19 seconds.
And now Schwenke with a 5-second advantage over Brennan Horn. We'll see if he decides to bring the car in the next time by, or whether he decides to hold on and run a little bit longer. Chuck Lobano now, as we mentioned in the 34 machine, he is running 3rd overall. Still about 4.8 seconds off of Brennan Horn, but again, starting to close things down. That last lap, Lobano was 0.8 of a second faster than Horn, so he is definitely starting to close things in. Brennan Horn now hitting in from 2nd overall from the lead in AM.
So yeah, Brennan Horn is his D2D teammate here from the TCRs. And Eric Violet is also in. So we'll see where Brennan goes. This is crucial. If he's anywhere around 18 seconds, he's got a shot to come out in front of Dam. But if he's in that 20-second range, Dam might have done what he needed to do. Let's keep our eyes on Brennan as he comes out. There's Mike Dam, I think, coming into the Lycée hairpin right now. Yep, he'll hit this chicane, hit the front straight. Let's go back and see where we are. There's Brennan Horn, still stationary. 23, 24, 25. This is not good for Brennan.
Not good at all.
He might, yeah, I'm not sure if he's taking some repairs.
I would,
he still says.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's taking tires, Larry, which would have extended that pit stop considerably, as he's now back underway, and his time in his pit stall a full 12 seconds longer than Mike Dam.
Yeah, and he's 14 seconds back from Mike, unfortunately, because Mike was very efficient in and out of his stop. I don't know what happened to Brennan there in his stop. We'll have to check that maybe at the end of this race. We'll find out. But right now he's got to worry less about Mike Dam and more about Lobano and Brad Husty, by the way, who's right behind him.
That's right. As you can see there now, Husty only about 1.5 seconds back, and Lobano, who has not taken his pit stop yet, and very few drivers have not so far in the GT4 classes. Our leader Travis Schwenke has not. Chuck Lobano has not. In TCR, our TCR leader now, Brennan Whitworth, has not, nor has David Payne.
Here comes Schwenke, race leader. This could lead the race over to Lobano if he can go one more lap to get credit for leading a lap.
No, Lobano is going to come in, and yeah, he could have picked up a point for being your race leader, but chose to head into the pit lane as well. So not going to get the opportunity for that bonus point here.
Keep around Schwenke. So now Schwenke, if he can be around the 20-second mark, he had about 4 seconds in the bag over Mike Dam. When Mike came in, we'll see where he's right at that 20-second mark on his stop. So Dam already picked up a second or so. Let's see. There's Dam on the front straight now. Schwenke's at pit out. He should be awfully close. As Dam comes around turn 1, there's Schwenke. Pit out. And there's Dam just now within 2 seconds, it looks, maybe right around 3 seconds.
3 seconds, yeah.
But he's got momentum. Schwenke may not. So I think Dam can catch him. This could be a pretty good fight to the finish. Thorman, nice recovery. You can see him. He's about 2.5 seconds behind Mike Dam. All the struggles he had there in that middle part of the race, perhaps he's shaken off. He's currently sitting in 3rd. Hartley, Lobano,
and Hartley has made up a ton of ground in the last number of laps in the pit stop cycles, as he finds himself now sitting in 4th position, and he is about 4 seconds back from Chris Thorman. But when he was sitting back around 9th overall, I'm sure, and we were talking about his lack of aggressiveness and his willingness to sit back and be patient. I don't think either of us expected him to be up where he is right now. We'll see what happens when, say, Lobano comes back out. But obviously the big loser in this pit sequence is Brennan Horn, who finds himself now running 2nd in GT4 AM, as Chuck Lobano completed his pit stop and is now almost 4 seconds up the road from the 45 machine.
Yeah, Brennan Horn, I don't know what happened there at his pit stop, but unfortunately it all kind of fell apart. Going from leading this race, or he and his teammate kind of holding down the lead, to now he's finding himself not even leading the AM category as Lobano's got himself there. So Brennan Horn's got to make up 4 seconds to even have a chance. And as we've seen, not an easy track to pass on. So even if Horn can catch him, which I'm not sure he can catch 3.7 seconds, but even if he can, Lobano would have to give up that lead, to make to lose this thing out.
Yeah.
So Brennan Horn's got a lot of work in front of him. He's got to worry more about Brad Husty, who's right on his tail for second. Look at that. There's Husty 0.8 back from Brennan Horn. He's found his groove at the middle point of this race, as we're about 20 minutes from the finish.
That's right. Not long, not far to go. Brad Husty running about 1/10 to 2/10 faster than the number 45 machine. You can see he is definitely starting to close things down there. When we checked in, it was 1.5 seconds, and now it's down to 0.6 of a second.
I just saw Nick Horvath is disconnected from the sim, and that's unfortunate. He had such a strong start. He and Eric Violet had a great little battle going on, but unfortunately for Horvath, some rough luck ends his night prematurely. I know we're going to see him get a strong finish in one of these rounds soon. He's shown such good speed at moments through these first 4 races. Just needs luck to kind of maybe go his way, but for Nick, sad ending tonight.
And we see Brandon Whitworth still as your leader in TCR currently, has not taken his pit stop as of yet. He's got about an 11-second advantage over his D2D teammate Eric Violet. So both of these drivers will pick up points for leading TCR tonight. We'll just have to see.
You had said that there he is, right on cue. But you had said that the pit window for TCRs was quite large. I think we're seeing that here,
yes,
where they can go all the way to the 43rd minute on that opening stint of fuel.
And at 140 and at 148 or so, or 150 per lap, Eric Violet thought, yeah, might even be able to make an extra lap out of it. But Whitworth brings the car in. And let's see here. He is now leaving the pit lane, Larry.
He's obviously given up the spot to his teammate Violet. It's a question now to see where is 3rd place Payne.
Well, I think Payne is more than 0.5 second in arrears. There he is in the DP Motorsports Honda Civic Type R.
With Jeff Jacobs in the StreetSurvival.org Mercedes right behind him, a GT4 Pro. Jacobs down the inside into 1. Payne letting him through. A couple of orange cars here tonight. Not many orange liveries. They both happen to be together here on the track at the same time. But that's Brennan Horn again, continuing his rough night.
And who's that with him? That's Whitworth.
Yeah.
That looked like he went around as well.
I could tell if he went around or if he just came up on the scene. Perhaps the guys will get something queued up here shortly for us. But that's unfortunate there for Horn, just kind of turning bad to worse here for him.
All right, let's take a look. And that, of course, is going to move Horn back into 3rd now with Brad Husty in the 2nd. Let's see as they come.
Teammates.
Oh.
No, D2D on D2D violence. It's occurred.
Door to door.
And Horn both.
That's right, as they were coming down into Adelaide, into the hairpin there at turn 5, and just looked like Whitworth grabbed a little bit of grass there and came back across.
Somewhere Bobby just poured another sip of Tennessee whiskey, I think, and say this race is not going well at all for Brennan, or at this point for Whitworth, who's still holding 2nd spot despite the spin, although now it looks like, and again, Horn struggling to keep that thing in check, going down the, let's see, hairpin and through the chicane. So tough night for Brennan, but Whitworth still about 4 seconds ahead of David Payne, holding down the 2nd spot in TCR, but the margin now quite a bit less than what it was.
Yeah, what we were originally looking at a 50-second advantage, and it's now halved down to about 25 seconds between those two drivers. And all the while, it's given more of a buffer to Eric Violet, who's now about 20 seconds up on the rest of the field in TCR.
And we'll see if Whitworth shows any signs of damage, because as he spun off the grass, came back on and kind of hit the front of Brennan Horn's car, it's possible he could have taken some damage, a little bit of a misalignment.
Yeah, you can see the hood there.
On the car, just a little wrinkle, but yeah, a little bit of alignment, suddenly that car slows down. So we'll keep our eyes on that as we've got about 14 minutes left of green flag in this one. And for some of these D2D guys, Warren, that finish probably can't get here fast enough.
Yeah.
But for Mike Dam, he'd love a little bit more time. He's cut that 4 seconds in half. He's now just 2 seconds back at Travis Schwenke. So Dam is on his way. He's been clipping off some decent lap times here and trying and close this gap. Now just 2 seconds back, and Schwenke's also done well, but sometimes when the dam breaks, the flood just goes. I had to try something. I was going to go full Led Zeppelin there.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that last time by Mike Dam, almost 0.3 of a second faster than the number 16 car.
That hairpin, that's the hairpin, just off camber. It's a long, it's not a hairpin, it's a long sweep, but it just goes off camber. The cars just slide around through. You can see everybody just kind of catching it with the wheel all the way around. So you say there's not an elevation change here, but there certainly are camber changes between these corners. But you can see a little bit of it there.
Get right there.
Keeping an eye also on Hartley, who last time through was a 45.2, continuing in the low 45 pace. He's now about 2 seconds back from Chris Thorman for third. So you can see that Aston Martin in front of him now. He's been the quickest car in the field over the last 10 minutes or so since they finished their pit stops. It's been Hartley with no one in front of him, just laying down flyers.
Like David Payton, our last driver to head to the pits in his TCR Civic Type R, and he is now back underway.
Yes,
yeah,
it does look like
race
control. Race control is, by the way, looking at that D2D incident between Whitworth and Brennan Horan. We'll see what they decide on that one. Although their teammates, they are different classes, and would not be surprised if they find some contact in there that may have led to it. But
yeah, I when you saw them going down there into the hairpin with, seemingly millimeters apart. I mean, that's what you teach racers to do, is you want them to stay as close to the door beside them as possible, and to take away any possibility of, well, one, large amounts of damage, or but also it allows you to control the corner. You don't necessarily do that with a teammate. However, give yourself a little bit of a buffer, and it could have just as easily been a netcode incident, but still, if it were me and I was driving the 45 machine, and thank God I'm not, might have given a little bit more room to the TCR car there coming into the hairpin.
And vice versa. Maybe he was expecting that the second place runner in TCR, a slower class, was going to give him room. It became, well, I thought you were going to move. No, I thought you were going to move. And next thing you know, contact occurs. Yeah. So I'm sure there'll be a debriefing there in the D2D pits after this is all said and done. There may be some lashings happening between them to laying out some discipline, but
some virtual noodles.
Perhaps.
This has been a neat race to watch here tonight, Larry. It's Russ Ruddock and Dale Maxwell, and of course Chad Osborne, has been part of this from time to time. Osborne is just up ahead of him right now, but Ruddock's had an exciting evening dealing with Mr. Maxwell.
Well, we've seen a lot of Russ Ruddock tonight. Haven't seen much Maxwell, but he's right there with him, kind of lurking, like the color of his car, like the shadow behind the bright green. He's lurking, but for him, you can see right there on the graphic, was just kind of holding his own there, but he's picked up a lot in the last 2 laps. I'm starting to wonder if Ruddock is suffering the same thing that Brennan Horn was, perhaps starting to see some tires go away and causing a little bit of slowdown and giving Maxwell an opportunity. There you can see it, just late to the brakes, late turning in.
A little bit of lock up there.
Yeah.
And now can Maxwell do anything about it, as we've got only about 10 minutes remaining here at Magny-Cours.
Yeah. So sometimes it's the tires degrade a little bit, and sometimes the driver degrades. You just get tired. You're 29 laps into this thing. and you're in a bit of a battle. You think, I'll break a foot later and I'll hold that driver off. What you realize is you get into ABS these cars and it just doesn't want to stop as well as it does.
Doesn't.
If you gotta back the braking off, and your instincts are to brake harder, it doesn't work. So the key is in any kind of battle, always hit that mark where you know you can get it down and get through the corner and get the proper exit. This, however, is the battle for third. That's Chris Thorman in the 60 in the GTD Aston Martin. Rob Hartley, of course, in the BMW from Orion. He's been hustling, now owns fastest lap of the race at a 44.9 last time by, and that has led to this. He is up underneath the back of the Aston Martin, putting all kinds of pressure on. Now he's caught him. The hardest part now is finding a way past. What do they say? It's one thing to catch him and a whole nother to get on by. Got some traffic up in front of
some
him.
traffic, yeah. As they come through the final chicane onto the front straight.
Looks like Thorman's trying to signal to the other driver, hey, we're coming. See him move over a little bit, showing the mirrors. I don't hear anything on the chat inside the sim to see if he's on the radio saying, hey, we're on our way. That is the 78 of John Casey.
Casey trying to drive offline there as they were coming through turn 1.
He's doing that now. He's going to back off, let these guys play through. He was just giving a little bit of draft to Thorman until they both gone by, and Casey doing the gentlemanly thing, let him play through. Golf reference.
4.
Thorman, though, corner to corner, he's just got to be so precise. And to me, the best thing you can do is just not look in the mirror. Just don't.
And you can see there even where he turned in a little bit late, had the rear end step out from underneath him, and was, even as he turned in, was turning in. When I say turned in late, he was turning in from about almost a foot inboard of the curbing, whereas you saw Hartley just take the car all the way out on the curbing. And just a nice, smooth, easy arc. The challenge here is, you can't really do much with that extra pace. No. But now Robert Hartley, can he come underneath Thorman as they're going to be coming underneath the bridge here, sweeping to driver's left and setting up for turn 15.
Hartley thought about it for a moment, backed out of it, knowing what's coming. It's sometimes best just get the exit run. Thorman just on the verge was able to hold him back there. This is going to go on for several more laps. These guys are about 1 minute 45 a lap. We got 6 minutes to go. What do we have, about 4 or 5 laps to the finish? So Hartley's going to have to find a way by if he wants that podium. Schwenke has opened up an extra second. Remember, it was about 1.8 when we last peeked in on these two. From Schwenke to second place, Dam. Perhaps the traffic has played a little nicer to the leader, Schwenke, than it has to Mike Dam in second. See if that continues through the end of this race. But Mike Dam kind of running out of quivers, running out of arrows in his quiver, quivers in his arrow, to try and make a pass to win this race.
Here, catch this.
What am I supposed to do with a quiver? I don't know. Throw it at him.
Throw it at him.
But you can never have too many quivers.
No.
But for Travis Schwenke, coming into this round with all podiums, in fact, the podium so far in 3 rounds has been nothing but Orion's. With Schwenke, Dam, and Hartley, your points leader in that order currently in GT4 Pro after 3 rounds. Right now, Chris Thorman trying to play spoiler to that to try and stick between them. Oof, that was rough coming out of that corner there. Was that Payne in the 31?
Yeah, that's David Payne in the 31, and really nowhere for him to go, and hence nowhere for Robert Hartley to go. But now Hartley's got to run again. And this is where Larry, last time by, he held back coming through Lucé and onto the front straight. This time he attacks, and he's side by side with Chris Thorman as they come down into turn 1, and Hartley is through.
Wow, that was really all set up by the slow straightaway, allowing Hartley to get up on the back, but the pressure on Thorman. Thorman got a little bit wide going into the they say corner. allowing to go side by side through the chicane. And honestly, it's a difficult move, but if you're Hartley, it's the only one. It's only one you got, probably the only one you're going to get with 4 minutes to go.
And that was the second lap in a row that they came through and said where. And going off, that's
Tom Jenkins.
That's Jenkins in the 68 machine. I've got to stop defaulting to Tom Huston. Sorry, Tom.
But I think for Jenkins, it gets a second incident he's been involved in. We don't know if this is a solo. You see the ranking in the front of that car. It's not good.
Well, actually, and I think it's the third one that he's been involved. He was involved in one on lap 1 where he got a drive-through penalty, and then he had the incident where, not by his own doing, but he got together with Horvath.
Yeah, this one, unfortunately, this is all him. And just a little bit of wide, catches maybe a little bit of grass or gravel and sends him looping to the inside. Ends his night. But for Schwenke, 3.5 minutes to go and he can have another win. But he knows that right back there lurking is that teammate, 2 teammates now in second and third, Mike Dam and Rob Hartley.
Well, in the last 2 laps, Dam has been, last lap, Dam actually made up, no, I take it back. Dam lost about a second to Schwenke, and now finds himself almost 4 seconds back.
I got a theory, and I'm watching in the background. Mike Dam drifting wide there, coming off of that last chicane before start and finish. I'm wondering if he's fuel saving. So he's really extending the car, throwing it through the corners, trying to momentum the corners, and maybe the lap times are indicative of his fuel situation. Remember, he was the quickest pit stop in the field at under 19 seconds. Hartley's at about 19.5, was a little bit longer, and we know Hartley had some opportunities to save behind some of the early traffic. Mike Dam might be fuel saving here with a couple seconds to go.
Yeah, very, very well could be the case, as he was a couple tenths off and had been as close as a 1.5 seconds, now finds himself about 3.5 seconds back from Travis Schwenke. Meanwhile, Hartley, I think just ran of the 3 the fastest lap, but you can see how much further back he is from the 16, probably from the 93 machine.
I think it was Russ Ruddick off in the gravel at the hairpin behind this group as they all went on through. Oh, and that's the 111 of Dale Maxwell now also running a little bit wide.
And I think he had Thorman right with him when he did it.
Wow, a lot of struggles here late in the race. A lot of tired drivers, maybe a lot of tired cars.
And I love the Thunder Chicken on the hood of Dale Maxwell's car.
Just a German pony car.
That's right. Reynolds, may rest in peace, would be proud.
But tonight,
all right, and here we go. White flag is in the air for Travis Schwenke. And you can see the finish line there is just past the chicane. So not far to go, and we are on the last lap here for Magny-Cours, where Travis Schwenke is your leader. Mike Dam running in second. Robert Hartley running in third, and Hartley's still trying to hold off Thorman there. Thorman about 2 seconds back from the 93 machine, but there we go. He's just kind of sneaking into the shot there. For a couple of laps, had been closing things down on Hartley, but I think, as you mentioned,
that's not going to help Hartley at all.
No.
See him catch over the ground. That's the same thing that we had seen earlier from, was it Jenkins? Had done the exact same move, ended up in the wall on the right. This time Hartley catches it, but as you had said, he was trying to hold off, had 2 seconds of Thorman. That's now under 2 seconds. Thorman has got a little bit of momentum here on white flag lap. I don't know if he's got anything left in the tank to make a push to Hartley. Hartley, though, a little bit nervous, maybe just needs to gather it and finish this race.
And of course, a little defense is a good offense here with 1 lap to go also, Larry, that even if Thorman does get close, Hartley will just throw a quiver at him. It'll be fine. And here we go, Travis Schwenke now, as he comes through one of the chicanes here. This is over at turn 6 and 7. Into the 180. And Dam definitely making up some ground now. Maybe fuel saving is done. Dam's made up about 0.2 of a second, though. Still has 2.5 seconds to up the road to his teammate. And here, as Schwenke comes out of the final chicane onto the front straight for the 2nd round in a row, Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing is your winner. Mike Dam is going to come home in 2nd. third will be Robert Hartley, and that's how it finished 2 weeks ago. That's how it finishes tonight. Schwenke, Dam, Hartley, Chris Thorman. What could have been for Chris, he finishes in fourth. And let's take a look here now. Chuck Labano coming across the stripe, taking the win in GT4 AM. He started 9th overall. He finishes 5th overall. Brad Husty will finish in 2nd, and finishing in 3rd. Well, don't want to count our chickens yet.
Our chicken will not be counted until we see it. Let's talk about TCR.
All right, Eric Violet crosses the line for D2D E-Racing. He takes the win. And there we go. There's Brennan Horn now across the line in the number 45 machine. He finishes in 3rd. And Jeff Jacobs, what could have been for him your pole sitter tonight, he crosses the line and I think may do a cool down lap in reverse, because I think, Larry, that is exactly how he would like to remember this, or he'd just like to reverse, back an hour.
1 hour,
yeah,
I think,
and start again.
Yeah, rough night. Start in the front row, end up driving backwards across the finish for a 5th place in pro. But for Schwenke, I said it after the first exchanges of some mistakes. I said the driver that can make the fewest mistakes is going to win this thing tonight. Clearly, that was Travis Schwenke. We talked about mistakes for Hartley. We talked about mistakes for Mike Dam. And obviously, Chris Thorman, Brennan Horn, all of them kept making mistakes. For Schwenke, tonight was just a night, it appears. Limit the mistakes, take victory. And honestly, I think the same for Chuck Labano. In GT4M. Again, lots of mistakes going on around him. He was able to keep his head clear and come away with victory here tonight. Can't wait to talk to him.
All right. Well, Larry, we're going to have to wait a couple moments before we do. But first, we're going to take another break. We're going to thank our great partners and sponsors. And then we are going to talk to some of our podium finishers here at Magny-Cours, where you've just seen round number 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics. And we'll be right back.
Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Magny-Cours, where you've just seen round 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with His Eminence Larry Lefty McLeod. And I wanted to again congratulate our winners tonight in GT4 Pro, Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing, Chuck Labano from Labano Racing, and then Eric Violet from D2D E-Racing in GT4 Pro, GT4 AM, and TCR respectively. And Larry, let's do this. We've got them sitting in the green room already. Let's go to our top 2 finishers in TCR. We're going to start off tonight with Brandon Whitworth from D2D E-Racing.
All right, Brandon Whitworth, I'll tell you what, watching this race, it is a bit crazy out there. The GT4 TCR interaction has got a little bit crazy, and you happen to be involved with one of them. Let's talk a little bit about that one.
If you're talking about my supposed teammate, Brennan Hurren?
former teammate.
No, I think we were in a break zone. I think he just drifted over a little bit. That's what it looked like from my point of view. It was not a big deal.
Yeah, this place is tough. This place is tight. We've had some tracks that come around in the sim that are tough to pass, but tonight it's busy. It's tough to pass. Interactions were all over the place. It's crazy for a first race in this series to be at this track.
Yeah, I never really got the setup dialed in. The only reason I did as well as I did is because Eric put together a setup that I could at least get around the track in. So.
Yeah, he seems to be good with that. He's always sharing setups, and he tells us every time he's interviewed, he's always willing to share setups, wants to give people opportunities, and it's good to have a good teammate like that hanging around. It's not so bad. But tonight, lots of things were happening. I know there was a good race there with Horvath that ran with Eric there for the first while, but you end up with another podium. So it's another 1-2 for you guys, 4 rounds in. Starting to see a trend.
Yeah, maybe. I hate it for Nick. Nick was doing so well. And then, I don't know what happened. I just came around the corner and him and a GT4 were getting back on the track. It looks like his car was too messed up to keep going.
Yeah, somebody's had some rough luck for him. And sometimes his bad luck ends up being good luck for you, and it give you that spot there to take home another second place. 3 out of 4. You got 1 win here a couple weeks ago. Not so bad. Anybody want to give any thanks to for tonight?
I gotta give a shout out to the sponsors, Performer Elite Texas Graphics and Ricmotech for helping us put on the league, and the guys running the league do a great job. Of course, all my teammates, get a lot of help from them, except for Brendan Herron. And he's never gonna live that down. And of course, my family for supporting me doing this.
Well, congrats again on the second place finish here tonight, Brandon.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Brendan Whitworth, the answer to everything, Larry, is 42, and Brendan Whitworth now comes home second in TCR this evening. Eric Violet, his teammate, driver the number 89 Honda Civic Type R, is with us now.
Eric had another victory. They're not easy, and I tell you what, you and Nick had a heck of a battle in the first part of this race.
Yeah, hey Larry. Yeah, I don't know what happened. He was super quick. I mean, he had me sweating it in practice. I could see how quick he was. And yeah, the first, I don't know how many laps that was or what minute mark we were at, but I don't know if he got tangled with someone or what happened. All of a sudden he was just gone. And it was really unfortunate because I'm pretty sure we would have had a good battle all the way to the end. I couldn't gap him by more than about 2 seconds.
Yeah, he really did show us the speed, and we're hoping his luck turns around on one of these other future runs here because he's definitely got the speed to keep up with you guys. But once he was gone tonight, were you just driving with mirrors? Because it just seemed like so hard, even between the GT4s and TCRs, to let one by. The pace was just close enough.
Yeah, I didn't have to really battle any of the GT4s because once Nick was out of the picture, I could see them coming. I could just kind of time it, and I would just tap my brakes on the straights, let him know it's an easy pass. Don't worry about it. Just stay on it. I'll tuck in behind you. Didn't even have to get on the radio or anything. Just tap my brakes a couple times, and they got it.
Yeah. Well, I know we're going to get more races here. We got a couple more rounds this season. We're going to see Nick put on a show, and I can't wait for that. But tonight, your night of win. 3 wins in 4 rounds. Congrats for that. Anybody you want to thank?
Thank Bobby for the new paint this week. He got them updated for us, so we matched the rest of the team. I think we're looking slick out there. And of course, my wife for letting me do this, families for watching, and D2D for sponsoring us, and then of course all of our other sponsors, Ricmotech, and then the league, and you guys, of course, for putting this on.
Awesome. Well, congrats again, and tell Bobby did a good job with the paint. Looks good.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. Eric Violet, your winner tonight in TCR, driver the number 89, D2D eRacing Honda Civic Type R. All right, let's move on now to GT4 AM, Larry, and we're going to bring in Brad Husty, finishing second tonight here in GT4 AM.
All right, we're here with Brad Husty. Brad, a second place finish here tonight in the GT4 AM category. That was a crazy, crazy night, but second place, you got to feel good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Brennan pretty much gave that second place to me, but I'll take it, man.
That's what his TCR teammate just told us too. But for you got to go out and earn it. You got to stay clean, and this is a tough place to stay clean.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Yeah, because the TCRs weren't that much slower than us, and it was tough getting around them and tough getting through traffic.
Yeah, for sure. Like you say, TCR, the time delta between you guys only maybe 3-4 seconds, so it makes it just like you're going the same speeds in a lot of places. And this place just doesn't have anywhere to easily let somebody by. Is that the challenge of Magny-Cours now? Is it just you always have to drive the perfect race, or at least the cleanest race, to have a chance to be on a podium?
Yeah, plan your passes, and hopefully the guy in front of you, the TCR in front of you, sees what you're doing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Heads up driving is the only way. And for you tonight, that got you to a second place podium finish here in GT4M. Anybody you want to thank for helping you get here tonight?
I'd like to thank you guys, first of all, and all the sponsors. I mean, you guys make this a great league. I love it. I have so much fun, and just all the guys that I'm racing with, they're all great people, and I really appreciate it.
All right, well, congrats again. A podium finish here for you, Brad Husty, second place in GT4M.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Thanks to Brad Husty from Midfield Motorsports. And Larry, looks like he just jumped into the green room. Perfect timing. Let's bring in our winner tonight in GT4AM, driver the number 34 Mercedes-AMG. It's Chuck Labano.
Chuck Labano with us, and Chuck, as we saw the car come off the final chicane onto that front straight, seeing that checker flag, I saw a lot of wiggling going on inside that car. You must be a pretty happy man right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I didn't know what to expect for this track. It was only my second time here, but it seemed to match me pretty well.
Yeah, it suited you a little bit. We talked earlier, as the race started tonight, that perhaps somebody who put in a little extra time to learn this new track, because everyone kind of comes in a bit of an even playing field without any real experience here. It forced you to do a lot of practice and learn this. Are you going to make a smart man out of me and say you did all the practice, or or did you put in the time to really to learn this place and to have a good shot here tonight?
Well, you get better by not practicing, right? No, kidding. Yeah, I just bought the track a few days ago, so I definitely spent some time on it. It feels good, and I think it just reminds me of my. There's a real life track here near my hometown. A few of the turns reminded me of that track.
Yeah, well, that's good to have that kind of sense of feeling comfortable, especially at a new track. And you bought it a couple days ago. I bought it about an hour and 15 minutes ago. I have not had a chance to drive it yet, but you put in the time this weekend, it sounds like, to learn this place and come home victorious. Is this your first win here in this series?
It is. It feels pretty good. I'm hoping it's not just a one-time thing. But yeah, I'll definitely be practicing for the next one and the next one. So if they feel as good as this one, my new favorite track now, I'll be pretty happy for the season.
Yeah, awesome. Success always tends to favor those that are our favorite tracks. So congrats on that tonight. Anybody you want to thank for this victory tonight?
Sure. My son, who does a watch party with you guys, is Royal Smitty on Twitch. And my wife, who does an excellent job of ignoring all the swearing. Not to mention our Ricmotech, the sponsor. I don't know. I think there was another one. I can't remember what it was, though.
All the sponsors. I'm sure they'll be happy when you talk about them later. But for tonight, it's all about you and this victory. Go ahead and celebrate it with the family there. You've earned it.
Hell yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody, there you go. Chuck Labano, the foul-mouthed Canadian from Labano Motorsports, driver of the number 34 Mercedes-AMG GT4, your winner tonight in GT4AM. And then finally, Larry, let's bring in our overall winner, taking the win tonight for the second round in a row, driver of the number 16 Orion Motorsports BMW M4 GT4. It's Travis Schwenke.
Travis Schwenke. So let's see. Daytona takes the win. Bathurst takes the win, and now comes here to a brand new track that up until maybe a couple weeks ago nobody had even run before, and takes another victory. Starting to see a trend. Congrats. Tell me a little bit about the race.
Yeah, that's a hard race to lead when I don't have, I bought the track Sunday, so had to learn it, and just leading like that, I'm worried about the slowdowns. I tried to find them all and figure out where they were, but I still had some questions on one of them. If I cut it just a little too much, I didn't know where it exactly was. So I knew Mike got bit by one that he had never found before in turn 1. So of course he told me to make me worry about it then myself. But it's just had to try to keep my head down and just run consistent laps and hope traffic worked out for me. So great. It's a great little track, just very hard to pass. You gotta. Setting someone up is even hard.
Yeah, and we had noticed that for the first part of the race when about 2 laps in or so, you had you and your teammate Mike behind you, and then you had the 2 D2D cars in front of you. And at that point, are you? I mean, the strategy changes, but at least then, are you thinking maybe I'll sit back here for a while, see what happens, or are you still trying to find that gap of daylight to shove the nose in?
Definitely trying to find the gap, and also just trying to see where am I quicker, where are they quicker. What are the strengths, and just try to figure out where I could use that to my advantage. And then I think Brennan went a little deep in the one corner he went on the exit of turn 2 there, the sweeper up the hill, or 3. He had gone a little wide there, so I got a run on him. And then I think when Chris, he missed the sharp right-hander, number 14 or whatever it is. Yeah, he missed that corner, and then I was able to get a run down the hill. I really just was showing my nose, and then I think he just missed the break point and went straight off. Thankfully, he didn't lose too much time there. It looked like he pulled out right behind Brennan or someone. He only lost like 1 position or 2 positions there.
Well, as we're calling the race, we're saying this really was turning into a bit of an attrition, more from a mistakes point of view, that if you make a big mistake, it's going to cost you. We watched it cost the D2D guys up in front of you, unfortunately, even for Mike and for Rob, even on the start. People just making mistakes around. You seem to be the one able to go that hour either without any big mistakes or without any mistakes that we could see. So certainly a bit of a feather in the cap for that. But tonight, a victory, 3 in a row for you. How's that feel?
Feels pretty good. So nice to be in the interview booth, I guess. That means good news if I'm here. So it's a good feeling for sure.
Unless your name is Bobby, then it is a good thing to be here in the interview.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Travis, for tonight, 3rd victory in a row. I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Thank my teammates, for words of encouragement. Even though we're fighting each other, we all try to help each other there. And Rob, coming back through the field there to get 3rd was really good to see him make that. He was pretty stuck early on. Sim Race Cockpits and of course Extreme and Apex for their work in this, and of course Ricmotech, the title sponsor.
Awesome stuff tonight, Travis. Another win at a very tough brand new track that you've owned for about 36 hours. I'm thoroughly impressed. So top of the point standings for you right now. It's looking pretty good. Congrats for all that.
Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. Travis Schwenke, your leader in GT4 Pro, going into round number 5 in 2 weeks. And Larry, why don't we talk a little bit about that? Talk about what's coming up in the many different Ricmotech series. Next week, February 27th, the Ricmotech World Challenge returns. It's our GTP and GT3 cars. They're going to be heading south of the equator to Sao Paulo and Interlagos for round number 4 of 7. And then in 2 weeks, it's the time for the Sportscar series once again, round 5, and we're heading to Scandinavia, heading to the Ricskogen Motor Center in Norway. And no, I can't speak with a Norwegian accent. But I've got 2 weeks to work on it. Definitely join us for that. And then, of course, the newly renamed Club Sport Series round number 1 is going to be on May Day, May 1st. Now the MX-5 cars as well as the Toyota GR86 machines as well. You definitely don't want to miss this. So for Larry McLeod, for His Eminence, for John Robertson and Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next Monday night, 8 p.m. from Interlagos. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.